Hey guys, and we're back. It's good to be back. This is Armchair GMs, brought to you by Josh Ball Trade Podcast. I'm your co-host, Bugman Jay, and this
And
guy
I'm
here
Matt.
is this is Armchair
I'm
GMs,
Matt.
man. How's your week been, brother? Like, how's things been going?
Oh, busy. I just
Same here.
feel like this has really been the first time like all week I've been able to sit, and I'm looking forward to it because then I get to chat football with you
Yeah.
and our audience. So looking forward to talking some fantasy football with you. How about your week, man? How's it been?
It's been pretty busy. Ever since probably Friday. All that I live here in South Georgia. I'm like 10 miles, 15 miles from Florida. So it's all we've been hearing about is the hurricane that's down in Fort Myers, Tampa area now. And so this whole week has been super busy because of my job is all about production and I got a lot of customers. So I had to try to kind of wrap things up a little bit earlier this week. So I'm pretty tired, but I'm amped up and ready to talk about some football this week. I have to bring it up because it's a point of emphasis now because our ideology here is that the advice that we give the audience is going to help them to win their league, right?
Absolutely.
So I have to pat myself on the back. Last week, I brought up Jeff Wilson from San
Hmm.
Francisco, and he hit. The workload was there, the target share was there. It was, it was everything I hoped it would be. It wasn't anything spectacular like blow the doors off crazy, but it was a positive trend in what you need and as RB2 as a flex. If he was your flex, you struck gold, you know.
Hmm.
So especially being along the waiver wire, waiver wire pickup coming in does really good. So
Yeah.
I had to just say that. So if any, but
Yeah.
he's still pretty available in leagues. So if you're in a 12-team league or a 10-team league, 12-team league, you need to go out there and you need to put in a bid. If you're in a fab league, I'd say probably about 20-25% of your fab should be enough to get Jeff Wilson. And until Elijah Mitchell comes back, I really believe he's going to get the bulk of the target share. And he shows that he can
Absolutely.
produce with it. So that's my pat on the back of the day. All right, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done.
I'll give
All
you one of these. Give you a golf clap. Good
right.
eye.
So
Good eye.
so tell me something good that you saw over the weekend.
Russell Gage. He stepped up to the challenge this week, and I'll cover the stats about him later. But with Mike Evans being suspended, Julio Jones is out, Chris
Yeah.
Godwin is out. Julio Jones, he stepped up to the plate. He he played lights out, in my opinion. I think he did really well. Sure, he had I mean, Tampa Bay didn't come away with the win,
Mm-hmm.
which you win some, you lose some. That's just part of the game. But no, I thought Russell Gage did really well, even with the fumble. So I mean, between him and another player that kind of went lights out, Jamal Williams from
Mm-hmm.
Detroit.
Definitely.
Uh,
Hometown, right there.
I was gonna say he gets my honorable mention of the week. As far as jocks go for running
Yeah.
backs, because he did have 20 carries, 87 yards, and 2 touchdowns, 2 receptions for 20 yards. And I can't remember. I think DeAndre Swift is on a day to day right now.
Well,
So
we'll touch on that when we get the injury news and notes, or we can talk about it now. But
we'll
it's
touch. We'll talk about it once we get to injuries. So, but yeah, I just want to give a shout out to Jamal Williams there. Good job there, bud.
good
And
job.
yeah, hopefully you can build on that and make the NFC North a little bit more competitive than in years past. I'm excited about the NFC North this year. So
Yeah, as of right now, he's just jumping right into a waiver wire pickup. He is definitely on the top of the list. If he was not on your list last week, with him getting goal line work that he's been getting right now, the third down work he's been getting since the season started, they're taking the workload off of DeAndre Swift because of the simple fact of what's happening now. He gets injured. He's injury riddled, but he's a high talent. So you take the good with the
Oh yeah.
bad. But Jamal Williams is in himself good talent as well. RB2 style talent. You saw what he can do with the workload. You saw how good Detroit's offensive line somehow seems to have become. Seems as if out of nowhere. I did watch them on Hard Knocks, but I didn't think that the offensive line was as good up against pretty decent competition as it has been. And he's only, and the consensus, he's about 53.7% rostered, which is, very waiver wire worthy. I picked him up in the league and I dropped Zaylen Warren, and I picked up Jamal Williams, someone who could potentially play multiple weeks for me in a very favorable lineup, very favorable schedule. So, not to harp on that a little bit too long, but that's in my book top waiver wire as of the week.
There you go.
All right.
Well, let's move on to one of our favorite segments so far, and that's covering the ads. This week, this is my week to cover ads. Let's hope I don't mess it up too much. So away we go. First ad for us comes from Fresh Cuts. Fresh Cuts is a local barbershop located in Marion, Indiana. Contact Caleb Kemper for an appointment time through www.freshcutsbarbershop.com. We are also supporting him as he runs for Best Barbershop in Grant County. Please take your time to vote for him. Voting is from September 28th till October 8th, and can be done from the Grant County's greatest website. Fresh Cuts. It's not just it's not just a haircut experience. So yeah. Our next ad is from Steve Wood Illustrations. Here for all your art needs, from Star Wars to G.I. Joe and beyond. See him for all your nerds in your life who aren't sure what to get. And then we are also supporting our friend Ronnie Morell as he runs for mayor of Marion. He has done a lot of good things in the community and for the community, and we wanted to recognize our appreciation for him by backing Morell for mayor. Check out his Facebook page to follow along. Our ad is from Liberty Prep Freedmen. They are a local post-grad prep football program. We're showing our support for them and head coach Paul Funchess as they begin the season coming off a NPGAA national championship and are trying for a second. You can find them playing home at Dick Luton Stadium in Marion. The next ad is from our friends at Afro Latinos. They're changing things up. Check out the Culture Corner podcast featuring Aubin and Shaylin and hear from them soon as they are still under construction. Rules of the Frame is another friend cast specializing in movie reviews from pretty much everything that there is. Connor will soon be a guest on our other show, Smash Popcorn, and we look forward to collabing with them. And last but not least, 1,000 Whys of Weird is just that, weird. From reviews of weird movies to criticizing bad movie choices, Brad H. and Billy Martell will keep you entertained and laughing for hours on end. Check them out exclusively on Spotify.
There you go.
Woo!
Not too shabby.
Not too shabby. A little bit.
Oh yeah, but you bounced back. You had the report to keep it flowing, keep the flow going. So I ain't mad at that at all. All right, as we're gonna take a switch, we're gonna change lanes a little bit. We're gonna go back to we have changed up our segments from last year quite a bit, if I might say, but it's only to emphasize things that I think you guys could benefit from. And before we get started, I do want to once again, for all the watchers and listeners out there, we would ask you guys like, rate, and subscribe. Tell a friend. If you tell one friend about our podcast, It'll help our community grow, and we'll be able to spread our knowledge of fantasy football onto more people. So, like, rate, subscribe, tell a friend. That's it. All right, so we're going to move on forward with our injury news and notes. So, I'm just going to go ahead and jump into the DeAndre Swift conversation. It is showing that he is suffering from a shoulder and also a high ankle sprain. So he could be out multiple weeks. They have 2 games in a bye. Coach is really talking about whether or not they really should consider leaving him out until the bye, and it's something to keep in mind. So that would also bring up the value of Jamal Williams from our waiver wire. If you have the opportunity, he's 53.7% rostered as of this point, so he's very available in a lot of leagues. If you find someone who has him on their team, would you trade for Jamal Williams? Giving,
I
do you
would.
see there any upside, or do you feel like that's something worth doing?
I would, honestly, because he has proven to be like a red zone, reliability.
Mm-hmm.
So even in and out, even with DeAndre Swift being in and out of the lineup, Jamal Williams, I feel it has proven to be a a good, reliable, target for that Lions offense. Now, am I saying to put all your chips in for Jamal Williams? No, I'm not saying that. But if you can find someone on your own lineup just to kind of like say, hey, they're not really performing that well. I'm going to trade them. Try to go out and get Jamal Williams. Even even with DeAndre Swift coming back healthy, I would still try to move for Jamal Williams. So
Yeah.
how about you
Yeah.
though?
Yeah. I feel like it's a worthy investment given that even if DeAndre Swift is in the lineup, Jamal Williams is still going to get he has a role. He has the passing down role. He has the goal line work. He shows the ability to carry the ball more than 15 times and be effective. You know, and he's there and he's on the field. So I think he has a role carved out in the offense. If you've seen him on Hard Knocks, I don't believe there's a way you can keep him off of the field in a crunch situation. So I believe he has great upside. Immediate upside is more, but long term, I still see him as a low end RB2, maybe possibly a high end flex because he's gonna continue to take touches from DeAndre Swift, especially seeing that
Mm-hmm.
how he's not healthy this year. All right, and we're gonna move on along. Jonathan Taylor has been added to the injury report with a toe injury. He did not practice today. He looks to get back on track after having 2 off weeks, and it's still something you should keep an eye out for. But it looks like he's going to play from all consideration. He does fall a bit because, like you say, he has had 2 rough weeks. They were bad,
Mm-hmm.
you know. It doesn't look like the toe injury is pretty extensive, but it's something to keep monitoring. What do you think the value of Naeem Hines becomes? Is they have Naeem Hines or is it more Naeem Hines? Naeem Hines.
Um, I think it's still a little like his value is pretty high this week. If I'm being honest, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I'll just go ahead and throw it out there. I did trade Naheem Hines,
Mm-hmm.
but that's because I have to start making room for other people that I have on my IR. So it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of like, all right, he's the lowest man on the totem pole right now. However, Naheem Hines, he's still a part of that, Colts offense. And the Colts offense
Yeah.
is off to a little bit of a slow start this year.
Mm-hmm.
Slower than I would, slower than I would like. And a lot of my, Colts buddies, they've voiced their opinions on how slow that offense is this week. And I don't know, like, you got to get Jonathan Taylor going. You got to get Naheem Hines going. You got to get Michael Pittman healthy.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just, I mean, the value's there, but at this point, I don't trust Frank Reich's play calling. Like, I don't. So,
You,
I would still go out and pick up Naheem Hines just as, an insurance policy, whether you have Jonathan Taylor or not. So,
mm-hmm.
if I had to put the value on there, he's pretty valuable, but I think there's more valuable running backs out there right now. Case in
Yeah.
point, which I know we're going to get to it. Dalvin Cook, he's got a shoulder injury right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think Alexander Madison takes priority over Naheem Hines. If
Yeah.
I'm maybe a little biased being a Vikings fan, but Alexander Madison has proven time and time again when Dalvin's out.
He can step in and contribute
Yeah.
and be effective. Yeah. I
Oh
get you
yeah,
on that.
absolutely.
Definitely.
So the value's there, but I think there's more value out there
Yeah.
on the waiver wire this week for
But
sure.
if you're in a 14 team league, he's definitely should be someone you should consider as least with the floor of a flex. If Jonathan Taylor is out, okay. Dawson Knox with a back and hip injury was limited Wednesday. He was a limited participant, and his status is still up in the air. Um, do you feel as if he plays, would you start Dawson Knox or would you leave him on the bench?
Me personally, I wouldn't, just because there are
Mm-hmm.
so many weapons in that Buffalo offense.
Okay.
Gabriel Davis, granted, he's listed as questionable as well. I think that ankle injury is still lingering a little bit,
Lingering,
but
yeah. And
that'll happen.
He had a pretty bad game.
He did. He did. You saw some Diggs. You have Singletary. Isaiah
Mm-hmm.
McKenzie's showing up out of nowhere. Like, I
Yeah.
wish I would have picked him up when I had the chance.
Oh
So,
man, he's definitely on that list.
yeah. I mean, someone just beat me to the punch, unfortunately. So, it is what it is. But with that being said, I think best course of action, if you have another tight end on your bench, I
Mm-hmm.
would consider starting them over Dawson Knox because he's not
Zach Ertz or
100%.
Dawson Knox?
Zach Ertz is injured or has an injury bug right now too, doesn't he?
No, he's playing.
Uh,
He was
I
number
would go
4
with
tight
Zach
end
Ertz.
this week. He's number
Oh yeah,
4
you're
tight
right.
end.
You're right. Yeah, you're
Okay,
right.
let me go down a little bit lower. Gerald Everett or Dawson Knox?
Since Keenan Allen is going to be coming back or is back, it's not 100%. I don't think. I would go Dawson Knox. Honestly,
Okay. All right, moving forward. As you already elated, Gabe Davis was limited in practice with an ankle injury. It's seeming like it's going to see more of how much participation he continues to get. Limited is good because that means that he's probably going to be questionable, which means he's most likely going to play. How effective he is, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. Moving forward, Hunter Renfro, concussion, still sidelined. He's going through the concussion protocol. So we'll wait, see later on this week, possibly Friday. That's somebody you possibly need to look for an alternate flex or wide receiver 3 in some leagues. Who do you think will be a good option as a waiver wire pickup in this situation for the Hunter Renfro?
let's make it interesting. Go to my league real quick. See who is. Let's see here. Here we go. Richie James Jr.
How did I know
was
you
gonna
were
say-
going to talk about that guy?
I mean, I watched that game the other night between Dallas and New York, and I'm sitting there the entire time thinking, who is this kid? He had 5 targets, 4 receptions for 36 yards. I mean, those aren't magnificent numbers by any stretch of the imagination, but I mean, Sterling Shepard, unfortunately, he's out again. He tore his ACL. Kenny Galladay, well, let's not get into
Non-factor.
that. Yeah.
There's Tony still hurt.
Yeah, so
Wanda
I think
Robinson missed practice Wednesday. He's hurt with a knee injury. They're pretty
so.
banged up.
I think a good pickup for this week on the waiver wire for sure would probably be Richie James Jr. Another name that's out there right now in my league. Can't really speak for everyone's league, but just throwing names out there. KJ Osborne, he might be a good pickup. He got that last second touchdown for Minnesota against Detroit on Sunday. He might be getting more targets. I mean, Adam Thielen's getting older, so you got to bring in the young bloods. Another person. Ooh, Corey Davis.
Corey Davis. No.
I'm just looking at his stats right now, and it's just like, well, he had a terrible week this past week. So not really a reliable source. But if in a deeper, like 14-man league, maybe. But no, for me, I would say Richie James Jr. and KJ Osborne. How about you, though?
I would probably say either Zay Jones or Romeo Doubs. If you saw Zay Jones's game, his stat line from Sunday, it's pretty good. If we go here, all right. Zay Jones had 11 targets, 10 catches, 85 yards, and a touchdown. That's a lot of involvement to get 11 targets.
Yeah,
and he's only rostered in about 10.4% of leagues. That could be the steal of the day. It could turn out to be, borderline nothing, but that much involvement in a game where they were pretty much winning, that's a pretty good ad. And Romeo Doubs. Oh yeah, and by the way, he was wide receiver 5 for week 3. And another guy I'm going to talk about right now is
who wasn't?
Who?
Christian Watson.
There you go. My other guy I'm going to talk about is Romeo Doubs. He was wide receiver 9. And I know for our listeners, I know you've probably have I heard that name before? Yes, you have. This was my sleeper during the preseason that I thought was really going to set the stage on fire when he first came in the league until the hands about the drops. Yeah, I was that guy. So now let me show you something from last week. In that ugly game with Tom Brady, Romeo Doubs was 8 for 8 catches on 8 targets for 73 yards and a touchdown. You remember those drops that they were talking about? Non-existent.
I do remember those. Yeah.
Non-existent. He caught every pass from Tom Brady. From Aaron Rodgers.
Well,
and
yeah.
that is something that I think is a telltale that he's ready. If you're out there and you're playing your role and when one thing that Aaron Rodgers always wants is security blankets. If you're his security blanket, he's going to pepper you out. He does it every time. So with Allen Lazard slipping, Romeo Doubs is there to take advantage of that target share, and I think he's really going to take a big advantage of it. And he's only 22.6% rostered, and he's averaging 21.3 fantasy points a game. So there's an opportunity for you to put someone. You don't have to start him if you feel like the next two games will be a little bit difficult. But that's somebody who can be on your bench, and that in a pinch, you can put him in, and he could get a baseline of maybe 11 to 12 points. It's a flex potential that could potentially be your wide receiver too, because I think he's pretty good. I honestly do, but not to get too long on that.
Pick him up and stash him.
Yes, pick him up and stash him, or if you feel like you can do it, pick him up and use him. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
put him in your life.
Absolutely.
Put him in your, absolutely. We're going to kind of speed through this a little bit. Christian McCaffrey has a quad injury, did not practice Wednesday. Head coach
Shocked.
Bruce stated that the team did not know about the quad injury until after the Saints game. So they didn't want to speculate on the timeline. So it's like a wait and see approach. He's probably going to be a game time decision. But if he doesn't start, it opens the door for Chuba Hubbard and Deontay Foreman. But if Christian McCaffrey doesn't play, what running back that we haven't talked about who's on the waiver wire could be a solid pickup?
We were talking about him before we went on, and I won't go into too many details, but J.D. McKissick, possibly. And this is what I'm basing off of my league. I'm sure he's, available in a lot of leagues right now. According to Yahoo, J.D. McKissick is 27% rostered. So that could be a good pickup. Name I haven't heard in a while. Nah. I was going to say Jerick McKinnon, but he's not really that reliable, if I'm being honest. A couple years ago, yeah, I would say that. God, yeah. I think J.D. McKissick would probably be the one that I would really trust the most because, according to Yahoo, this is in my league. Like the top available right now is Burkhead. So, yeah.
What are you just missing the one true top waiver wire running back from this week? I thought you would just key into it. I thought I could just put it in your brain and then you just.
I mean, unless we're talking, Alexander Madison.
No.
Or okay, then who?
Khalil Herbert.
Oh yeah, duh.
What? What? How could you not even put two and two together?
You know why? Because conveniently in my league, a buddy of mine just happened to pick him up, and it's just like literally, like we were all talking about. It's like, how the heck do you just pick him up out of nowhere during the draft? So it's just. So yeah, Khalil Herbert. So good call. Way to save me there, Jay.
All right, because he had 20 rush attempts for 157 yards, 7.9 yards per attempt. Broke a run of 52 yards, had 2 touchdowns, 2 receptions, 2 targets, and 12. He was wide receiver. He was RB1 last week, and with
rightfully
supposedly David Montgomery suffering, it's unconfirmed. I don't believe as of right now. I haven't seen anything to defer, but it looks like he's got a severe high ankle sprain, and so you know how that works with a running back. So he could be out at least possibly this week, possibly a couple weeks in the future. It looks as if Khalil Herbert can take that load because as of right now, he's 37.6% rostered as of this point. And he definitely could come to step in and be your true RB2 and take on that load and produce 157 rushing yards. And hold on. And I'm just going to cut this and take a second. I'm going to look at this just to make sure that I'm correct. I use Fan Pros, by the way. So we go to week 2. RB1 was Nick Chubb. All right. Now we go to week 1. The RB1 was Saquon Barkley. There has been a different RB1 in the top spot every single week so far. And it's only been 3 weeks. It's a small sample size, but week 1, it was the guy that everybody was like, nah, I don't want him on my team. He's gave me 2 bad years. I was one of those guys. And Saquon, and we're talking about Saquon Barkley, and he comes back. Most people probably got him for peanuts, and he was RB1. And we go to week 2, It
We'll
was
say
Nick
week
Chubb.
two. Yeah,
That was a wonky week. Week 2 was a very wonky week.
I feel like it's been a weird season so far for running backs, though. Like the
Yes,
top running backs haven't produced I as well as
most
we have
people have hoped.
liked.
We can talk about Austin Eckler, his underperformance, Alvin Kamara, how Christian McCaffrey, his bread and butter was catching passes, but now this year he's 60% rushing the football.
Yeah,
So you're not getting the value that you paid for. But let's flip that a little bit. How is it that the 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 position that's winning the leagues right now is quarterback? Like I have Jalen Hurts.
yeah.
I'm just going to be honest. I'm kind of a guy. I have 12 leagues. I have 12 fantasy leagues that I'm in,
It's like a
and
full
I
time
have Jalen
job.
Hurts. Yeah, and about 75% of them. And it was like a throw in the seventh, eighth round, and it's coming out to be the guy who wins my week every week. I have Lamar Jackson too. I picked Lamar Jackson in the fifth round, the end of the fifth round, and he's won for me on Yahoo every single week because they produce, but we get them so low. But the running backs that we picked in round 1, 0-1, picking first, second, third, fourth, fifth, none of them are producing besides Nick Chubb. I think Nick Chubb was maybe 3, 4, 5, maybe 7. But we have the likes of Aaron Jones underperforming, being outperformed by AJ Dillon, and then AJ Dillon getting the opportunity, and then he underperforms. It's just bad on top of bad. But the wide receivers are starting to come into their own. There's a lot of guys who are repositioning themselves because a lot of the people we thought so highly of are now getting up in age. So it's got to be, you know, I don't even know the right term. It's got to be renewed a little bit. So I like a lot. I like how Trevor Lawrence is just becoming a steady year 2 leaper.
Oh
So
yeah,
that's a lot. To be honest, I think Jacksonville's probably going to win the AFC South this year on the sidebar.
I
But
I could see it. I could see it.
I digress. All right, let's speed through and wrap up these news and notes. Laviscus Chenault is injured. That's not important. AJ Green is injured. That's not important. Important. Rondell Moore was limited in practice on Wednesday. I believe this is his first practice since his injury. So it's a positive sign to see him out there. Dalvin Cook is not expected to practice today. Wasn't expected to practice today. He's considered day to day until Sunday, so he's most likely going to be a game time decision. Like you said before, Madison is out there. He's available. You need to handcuff him.
Hmm.
He's not that available in ESPN leagues because a lot of people took that handcuff advice early, and so I could not trade for him. And then in one league, I gave him away for Jalen Warren, and I regret it now because the guy won't give him back to me. It's not
You
fair.
win some, you lose some.
Huh? You right about that? David Montgomery has an injury to his knee and his ankle, so he is day to day. No true prognosis as of this moment. T.J. Hawkinson had a hip injury and did not partake in practice on Wednesday, but it looks like Amar St. Brown's ankle injury is not as severe as it appeared. Josh Reynolds' ankle injury is, though. He did not participate in practice. And
So for one more injury report, Miles Garrett, flipped his car a couple times the other day.
yes,
First and foremost, that all things considered, that could have been much worse. And I think us, at Jocks of all trades, will just wish him the best. Thank goodness he's all right. You know, best of luck and thoughts and prayers to him for a speedy recovery. So,
there you go. All right, and last but not least, for you guys who are stashing Brian Robinson Jr., there is no true timetable for his return yet, so he might be a late season stash. I'm in the ESPN leagues. We have 2 IR spots. He's the only IR I have. So I'm gonna hold on to him. I advise all of his owners to hold on to him as long as you can, because I really feel that he's gonna supersede and take over and for the Commanders. And that, my friends, is our news and notes. Julio. All right. We're gonna hop right into our joke. Um, for quarterback, I had Trevor Lawrence. He was 28 of 39, 71.8 completion percentage, 262 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. He had 25.2 fantasy points in full PPR, and he's averaging about 23 points a game. That's wide receiver 4 potential there. So he is also in the waiver wire. So if you do not have a quarterback that is fitting the bill for you right now, Tom Brady, if you have Tom Brady and you're just trying to make it until double back. Mike Evans will be back, and there's also a chance that Julio Jones could play this week. So I don't know what that really would mean for Russell Gage, but I know his slot position is pretty valuable. So I know he's still going to be able to see work, but I just don't know how consistently it will be. But back to Trevor Lawrence, him and Christian Kirk have really built a rapport, and it's showing, it's paying good dividends. But so if you need Trevor Lawrence, or if you need a quarterback, if Russell Wilson's just giving you a headache and you need a week or two, if Derek Carr just keeps underperforming, he's pretty competent. So
go out and get sunshine.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Shouts out to Remember the Titans.
Sunshine.
All right, and I got a tag team at running back. I'm gonna just gloss over Khalil Herbert, even though he got RB1 status. I already told you his stats. I told you his availability again is. I lost it. I saw it with my eyes. I don't have it, but he's pretty available in most leagues, so I would try to make a stab at him. Cordero Patterson is continuing to show that he can take on primary running back position. He had 17 rushes for 141 yards, averaging 8.3 yards per carry, 1 touchdown. You'd like to see more receptions. He was 1 for 1 for 12 yards. You'd like to see a little bit more, but that was a good game overall. Both of those running backs played very good games, so they are my jocks of the week for the running back position.
Just before I get into mine, Khalil Herbert, according to Yahoo, is 79% rostered. That's up 30% from last week.
So
he's still out there.
You just got to hunt for a little bit more.
Yeah, I highly recommend.
Let me tell you about this trade before we move on real quick. I'm also in the NFL fantasy league. So I had a trade come through the trade wire for me. A guy offered me Ezekiel Elliott for James Robinson.
Ooh.
And you know what I did?
I'm curious.
I rejected it. I believe the reason that he did it is because I was supposed to take out Rashad Penny and put James Robinson into my lineup because he had been scoring on my bench. So I forgot to do it in time. So I felt like he felt I didn't want him because I wasn't using him. But I quickly declined that.
I don't blame you. Yeah, I mean, Zeke is, same as every year, kind of underperforming. So I would think his production would have went up a little bit considering Dak is out, but that doesn't seem to be the case. Could it be that Tony Pollard is taking away some of his workload? Possibly.
Yeah, definitely.
But, that's why, and we've talked about it, I think, every episode at one point or another. That's why you got a handcuff. I mean, handcuff when you can.
He was running back 16.
Yeah.
Probably, but overall he's running back 39, so that's not that good.
No.
It's not that good. That this would be the best. The switching to trade bait a little bit for 1 second. That would be my top sell low, or because he was a fourth round pick. If you can get J.D. McKissick or Samaji, no, not Samaji P. Brown. I'm sorry, or Naeem Hines or Kareem Hunt. Maybe not Kareem Hunt. Maybe Kareem Hunt. He's more involved, but just something. Maybe if it's at least in flex consideration, maybe be a wide receiver. But I'm ready to cut ties with him because that's probably the best you're going to get with Tony Pollard breathing down his neck.
Absolutely. So for my jocks, I'm covering wide receivers and tight ends. So my jock of the week, I got to go with Russell Gage. We mentioned it earlier.
Mm-hmm.
He had 13 targets, 12 receptions, 87 yards, had 1 touchdown. He did have a lost fumble. Really, that's the worst part of his day. Which it's part of the game. I mean, not everyone's gonna hold on to the ball 100% of the time, regardless of certain stats. So, but I'm not. In deeper leagues, I would say definitely try to pick him up. But Mike Evans, he's coming back this week. Julio Jones is supposed to be back at some point or another, and there's even talks of Chris Godwin possibly playing on Sunday night.
Yeah,
but he's probably going to be very limited. But
someone dropped him in my league, and I picked him up in the waiver wire.
We'll get to how I just we'll get to what I want to say here in a minute. So, yeah, with Russell Gage, I got to tip my cap off to him. So good job there. And then my tight end jock, David Njoku, out of nowhere last week, he had 10 targets, 9 receptions, 89 yards, 1 touchdown. Found a way to expose the holes in Pittsburgh's defense last week. I was really surprised how he was just able to get open in some of their zone. And I think he'll do fairly well against Atlanta next week, or this coming week, rather. So that's actually going to be my waiver wire pickup for this week. I actually went ahead and claimed him. Not saying he's going to, make a difference, but, it's definitely good to have. Obviously, Brissett, has kind of found a safety net with Njoku after last week. So, and I believe Stefanski said he wants to get Njoku involved more. Just depends on whether or not Njoku can keep the consistency up. So
there you go. There you go. Because it is sometimes hit or miss with him. It's been a whole lot of missing, to be honest.
Oh yeah. But for I got a joke of the week for wide receiver and tight end both. Joke of the week from me for wide receiver is Mike Williams. He had 6 targets, 1 reception. It was for 15 yards, and he did get a touchdown out of it. So, all right, cool. But to go 1 reception out of 6 targets, that's kind of the probability isn't there. It's not great there.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head then.
But I kind of have to believe that a lot of that came from Justin Herbert being injured the week prior. Maybe he just wasn't 100%. So, I mean, but still, if you're going to have 6 targets, at least for me, you got to bring in more than just 1.
Yeah. Mine was kind of Russell Wilson. Just if I had to do 3 weeks, it was just like It's probably been the worst 3 weeks I've ever seen of him ever, and
Yeah,
it's been bad. Like you're averaging 9.1 fantasy points per game, and you're 93% rostered. The last game was 20 of 33, 60% completions, 60% completion rating of 184 yards, no touchdowns, no touchdowns. Like the last game they played, wasn't it 10-11, and the defense did all the work because he did nothing, nothing.
it's it's been
It
an
just looks
interesting
bad.
season.
Just looks bad.
It, it's been an interesting season so far. I don't know if it's the coaching. I don't know if
Oh,
you
it's the
know.
coaching. Oh, it's definitely Nathaniel Hackett's fault. That play scheme, the way they put the offense together, the it's just it looks bad. Like
Hold on, before we go any
that's
further,
rain.
are you
I jumped
saying
from rain.
he can't hack it?
Oh my dude.
Hey, jock or joke? Jock or joke?
Well, yeah, man.
The opportunity was there.
Their scheming has been a joke. So it just takes a little bit more time. I understand for some people, some systems to actually start to form and come together because nothing's going to be perfect. But they need to get it together quick because besides Chicago, they're probably the worst run offense.
I feel like the AFC West, though, like they've kind of underperformed a lot
Yes,
so far because I mean
because
there was a lot of high hopes for Las Vegas. They're 0-3 right now.
hmm
There was a lot of hype with um, Russell Wilson going to Denver, saying, "Oh, hey, we're finally gonna." I mean, this multiplies our Super Bowl odds tenfold, and Russell Wilson's not producing. The only team I really have any faith in is Kansas City, which they just lost to the Colts, this past
yeah,
week. How that
yeah.
happened, I have no clue. But and then you know, the Chargers who are just kind of like
Lackluster.
they're winning, but it's kind of painful to watch how they're winning. You know what I mean? So it's I feel like if there is a division that is underperforming right now, it's the AFC West.
Yes,
No doubt
most
about it.
definitely. Not to be confused with the NFC South, which has three teams that are 1-2. So
You're not wrong.
it's a dumpster fire, and then you have teams like Chicago that somehow are 2-1, but they can't complete more than 13 passes in a game.
Yeah, I saw that stat. I chuckled a little bit being a Vikings fan, and but
Bad.
I mean they're winning, so I can't even really make fun of it that much. So it's just like, huh?
It's just been it's just in my opinion it's just been a very very wacky set of games in general. Specifically, how like you said before, the AFC West is underperforming completely. It's just like a dumpster fire out there. There's zero consistency when it comes to zero reliability when it comes to running backs. Um, the only reliable one I've seen is Nick Chubb, and he's had a bad week. So
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna get that. That's the matchups are the
Nature of the
matchups.
beast.
Yeah, yeah. But it's just zero consistency because getting seven fantasy points from Jonathan Taylor, the number one. I picked him first. A lot of people did,
Yeah,
and he got seven fantasy.
rightfully so.
Yeah,
7 fantasy
so
points. I mean, it's just that's crazy.
it's
Like,
hard. Derrick Henry had a
like,
bad game.
did he? I thought, I thought this past week he
This past week
pretty
was pretty
well.
good, but week two was a. I'm talking about that week two dead zone.
Oh yeah. You're right. You're right.
But even then, there is just one tight end we didn't talk about.
Who?
Jelani Woods with the Indianapolis Colts. He got those 2 touchdown passes in the goal line
Oh yeah,
situation.
you're right.
That gave him our tight end 5, so he should get some consideration along with Tyler Conklin. Tyler Conklin's only rostered in 17.3% of leagues, but he was 8 for 8 for 84 yards. So that's something to consider. That was a late throw in waiver wire for tight ends. But yeah, those targets are there. But there's just been a lot. It's just wacky. But I think once we get towards trade deadline, things will start to average out. You'll start to see more of the jocks and who the jocks are and who the jokes are. But on the side note, I am dumping Allen Robinson. I've officially dumped him.
I can't say that I blame you.
And DJ Moore is the next on my list, man. I'm looking for trade candidates, but nobody wants to respond to my trades. They reject them.
Back to, because you mentioned Chris Godwin earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to talk about, my trade for Chris Godwin. I was back and forth on it because he hasn't he hasn't been on the field, but he's going to be eventually.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, tight ends, I'm actually good, for once. I don't have my most consistent obviously is Gerald Everett. I had drafted George Kittle initially,
Mm-hmm.
but the guy's getting older. He was injured the first 2 weeks. He hasn't produced. Now you have Jimmy G, as your quarterback.
No.
So I did bite the bullet. I traded George Kittle for Chris Godwin.
You traded an injury for an injury?
I did because now, granted, I did throw in Nyheim Hines as well.
What?
I did.
Are you bananas?
I think it's going to work. I think it's going to work. I think so because listen, Chris Godwin, once he comes back, I think. Hang on a second. Let me bring it up real quick. He's going to have a stretch to where I feel like he's just going to go lights out. In fact, as soon as my internet, starts working. Here we go. So next week, when he's officially supposed to be back, he's going up against your Falcons, which the Falcons secondary, it's kind of hit and miss.
Yeah.
So I see him kind of going out or showing up and going lights out there.
No.
Week
lights
6
out?
is. No. I do.
You get in the cutting eyes right now. Distance here.
Sorry to take that jab at you, but
ooh, that was a swift one.
Now, week 6, they're going up against Pittsburgh,
mm-hmm.
which Pittsburgh is kind of an odd man out or an oddball right now because
mm-hmm.
they're underperforming for once with that defense especially. But then you have Carolina the following week.
Mm-hmm.
Carolina's secondary always kind of they always give up one person that's just going to go off. Then you have Baltimore, then you have the Rams, and then Seattle.
Well, you see how Baltimore went. Their secondary is kind of spotty too now.
Yeah, so I think it's going to work. If nothing else, I might use them as trade bait for later on. So we'll just wait and see.
Yes, the wait and see approach. Now, are you ready for the final segment?
Which final segment are we talking about?
We're talking about the lightning round.
Lightning round. Woo! All right. So I have 3 questions.
Mm-hmm.
Let me pull up my timer here.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna go a minute each. Now, first question is in regards to the Pittsburgh Steelers. So with Mitchell Trubisky kind of underperforming so far, and Kenny Pickett just kind of sitting on the sidelines,
Mm-hmm.
if you're Mike Tomlin, are you considering starting Kenny Pickett sooner rather than later?
Yes, and let me tell you why. Um, because Kenny Pickett was your first round draft pick. You're sitting here watching Mitch Trubisky not really blow the doors off per se as being the worst quarterback out there, but he's pretty close. QB 17, so he's not the best, and I think if they want to win if they really want to win their division or at least make the playoffs, I think their best option would be Kenny Pickett. Just point blank, he's a better quarterback in my opinion. I felt like there was no way that Mike Tomlin could keep him on the bench, seeing how he continued to excel and accept the challenge in preseason. But they did it because of the security of protecting, his development. But I feel like he has the tools right now to be a winning quarterback. How many wins? Maybe enough to get him in the playoffs, gain him some experience.
I was going to say, before I move on to my next question, let's not forget Ben Roethlisberger, his first year.
It
I
was
think he went.
terrible.
Was it? I don't.
He didn't
I
win
think it
many games.
was.
He probably did the same. No, hold on. Let me.
I thought he went like 15 or not 15. I thought he went 14-2. Hang on. Before we go on to the next question, let's settle this one. Rookie year record.
Go to Pro Football Reference. He
Oh,
was
13-0.
yeah.
So I'm not saying that Kenny Pickett can do that, because let's not forget, Roethlisberger's first year, he had Jerome Bettis, he had Hines Ward. I mean, and you had
Rookie
a
of the
Bill
year that year.
Cowher who was a great coach. So I mean, I'm not saying Kenny Pickett's going to do that. So let's just get that out there now.
But I feel like he could
So,
win some games.
oh yeah, absolutely. And I think he would revitalize a couple of those wide receivers like seasons so far. But I digress. So, second question: Zach Wilson is coming back, the Cougar Hunter. So, with the Jets, do you see this as a positive with Zach Wilson coming back, or is it just going to be the same as before?
I think it probably will benefit uh, Corey Davis and Elijah more than it would Garrett Wilson, in my belief. It's also I think it's going to hurt Michael Carter and Brees Hall, who is slowly starting to eat into Michael Carter's role. Is still about a 60-40 split, but I feel like it's going to benefit the downfield throwing, the gutsy throwing, the chain movers, but it's going to really hurt fantasy productivity for possibly 3 players on that offense. So I don't know. It's a coin toss. I don't really like Garrett Wilson. I don't really think he's a good quarterback. So he's in the same lines of me of Mac Jones, Daniel Jones. They're just not there. I was saying that about Trevor Lawrence too, but he's seemed to turn a corner. But Garrett Wilson, not enthused.
I was going to say. Now, the last question, we're actually going to make this 15 seconds because this
Zach
is going to be a
Wilson, I'm
funny
sorry.
one.
Okay.
Well, I knew what you meant. I think everyone else did too, but it's all good. So, last question. So, we saw the butt punt,
Mm-hmm.
and we saw Jimmy G, not be aware of his surroundings and step out of bounds or step out of the end zone for his safety.
Yes.
In your mind, which was more funny? 15 seconds.
Jimmy G just standing back there looking like a mannequin being moved around, and he just steps out of bounds, and the look on his face once he does it is like, what did I do? What?
The greatest thing from that was Dan Orlovsky, who he's never lived it down. Finally tweeted out, he's like, "There is a God, freedom." It's like, oh my God, he could. So yeah,
Just so
to me,
oblivious.
the butt punt was great, but Jimmy G stepping out of bounds, I think it kind of topped it. And I think that kind of paints the picture of what to expect with the 49ers organization the rest of the year, unfortunately. So time will tell.
Time will definitely tell, and that wind is kicking something fierce outside, brother.
Well, hey, man, you stay safe down there. And, thoughts and prayers go to you and your family for, the hurricane season right now.
Yes.
So we're going to sign off this week. I don't have anything else. Jay, you have anything?
Nope. All I have to add is I hope we gave you guys some good names, and we hope you guys enjoy another great week of footballing. I'm gonna let you sign us out, man.
He's Bugman Jay. I'm Matt. And we'll catch you all on the flip side. Take it easy, guys.
Peace. That was pretty good, man.